Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday. So, over the past weekend, I was able to hang out with a lot of cool people on that are investors in real estate, loves multifamily, and there were so many amazing questions that people were asking. And I thought, hey, let's recap some of the questions that were asked. And if you guys have more questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat as well. I'll read over them. And guys, if you don't worry, because as you know, I speak really fast, and so don't worry about not getting all the answers written down. Don't worry about it. We have a free live masterclass coming up next Thursday. So any one of you guys who show up live and stay to the end, we'll drop you the link to all the questions that we've answered in this session, and also some of the questions we had coming in afterwards as well. So if you guys are all good with that, give me a wave. Let me know you can hear me. All right, let's get into this. So again, I'm going to go over some of the questions that were asked. And so these are really, to give you context, a lot of the people that I spoke to over the weekend are people who love real estate. Some of them are in different parts of their journey. Some may just start it. Maybe this is the first time they've been to an event, or maybe they already own some properties and now they're just really getting ready to scale up. And that's what we do, right? We do large scale multifamily apartments. We don't buy anything that is small anymore. So we started out with a $6.9 million purchase of 76 unit apartments in 5.5. Well, the purchase was basically 4 years ago. We've gotten to multifamily a little bit before because we have to get educated, right? So first thing, hello there. So first question that I got a lot during the call, during the time that I was there was, how are you able to manage properties all over the country when you live in California? So that's a really, really good question, because a lot of the people I met were from California, coincidentally. So it's something that came up even at the beginning when we first started multifamily. We wanted to figure out what's our value proposition that we can provide a team. If you guys have heard Nancy and I, my sister, talk about multifamily, you know that it's a team sport. We're not doing any of this work by ourselves. So the key here is, like, when you have a team, and we think there's 5 major buckets when you do multifamily apartment on the active side. The active side meaning the people who are operating the properties, right? So first bucket is sourcing the deal. Second bucket is relationship with the brokers. Third bucket is raising capital. Fourth bucket is asset management. Fifth bucket is the balance sheet person, the person that has that balance sheet that, hey, you can take to the lender, that they can say, hey, you know what, you're good for this massive loan that we're going to get. So out of those 5 buckets, asset management we can do remotely. We do that now, but you do need someone, most likely with boots on the ground, someone close by that you can drive to the property, check it out if there's some emergency, some decision making, maybe even just color the building. Sometimes, like, you have different color paints that you're putting on the wall. You just want to make sure, like, you're making the best decision possible, and so you need someone local. You don't want to fly. As you guys know, I have properties all over the country, and I don't love flying, and so I try to avoid having to take that long trip as much as possible. So of the 5 buckets, then you try to figure out, like, where can you fit in. When we first started, what we heard in all our conversation that people were having with us was they needed capital. And so living in California, we immediately transitioned. When we started talking to people, we were like, hey, we can raise capital. We can help you raise money. Did we know how? At the time, we did not know how. But we felt confident. We told them our proposition was like, hey, we live in Los Angeles. We do flips all the time. There's a lot of money in California, so it's not a big deal. We can definitely do that, right? So that was the first part. Number 1 was that we were able to partner with people who had all the other attributes. So we didn't have to worry about learning all those components at the beginning to get started, because multifamily, it's a nuanced business. And so if you have to wait to learn everything yourself to get started, it will take forever. And it's not going to fulfill that need, to go faster, bigger and faster. The other thing is that we always talk about there's 5 levels of leverage: team, tools, time, taxes, and debt, right? 5 levels. So your ability to leverage all 5 levels will enhance how much you can basically be remote. Something funny happened today that my sister Nancy mentioned. I thought was pretty interesting. She said, man, like, people don't realize that being a co-GP, or like not the lead person in a deal on the active side, it's almost like the best side hustle ever. You do some work, you help raise money, you do some investor relations, you do something else, but there's someone else doing all the rest of the work, and you get paid really nicely. So I thought that was a pretty interesting point. Like, there's a value that you bring in, but you're not doing so much of the work, right? So so that was the first question. Let me know if that helps you guys. Like, give me some fire. I want to know if you guys can hear me. I don't even know if you can hear me, so let me know if you can hear me. Okay. Second question is like, how do you find these properties? So there's this thing as when we first started, right? Single family home, it's easy. You used to be like you have to have a broker's license, you have the MLS access, and then you get access to all these updated listings daily. As an anecdote, as an aside, when we were doing single family flips, my sister Nancy used to wake up at 4 a.m. every day to scrub the MLS list for listings in Los Angeles so that we can have access to it, to tour it. And guess who toured it? I did. And it was not fun. Like when you tour cat properties that cats have urinated in for like 30 years is not, it's pretty much toxic. I should probably pretty much had like a mask on or something. So unlike that, the easiest way to access multifamily properties is to join brokers list. And it's a free service, right? You just go to the websites. There's major brokerages that basically handles the entire market across the country. There's not a lot of them. CBRE, CBRE is one. JLL, Northmark, which spells with a Q at the end. North, MARQ, one word. Newmark, spelled with a K. Those are amongst and then Marcus and Millichap. How can I forget them? Marcus and Millichap, and they have another arm which is called IPA. So those are the name of the brokerages that typically people get deals from. And people think like, man, I need to send letters to the broker to the apartment owners. Well, guess what? Large scale multifamily, like the kinds that we buy, you are never have access to us. I don't open any mail from the property. So there's no way that you'll be able to contact us. The only way you'll be able to buy that property is once we list it with the broker, and the broker will send out basically like an email blast to everyone that says like, hey, this property is on the market. This is an OM, which is the offering memorandum, basically a packet that details all the pertinent information about the property. So that's the easiest way. So I named probably like 5 brokerages that literally controls the entire market in the country, and it's a free service. You go to their website, you check down boxes of what type of properties you're buying. There's even stuff like land, there's warehouses, offices, industrials, multifamily. So select whatever you want to select, and you'll be able to be added to their list. And then you get to select which market you're looking for. So that's the easiest way. Going back to that whole notion of writing letters, it's like this is not like single family flips where you're gonna send an email, like a handwritten note, say, hey Palmy, I love your property, and my like life goal is to buy it, and so like please reach out to me. It's like these are multi-million-dollar properties. That's not how it works. Also, people may think like, oh, off-market deals. Off-market deals are fine and great. We've only had one in our career that was a true off-market deal, meaning that there was one seller and one buyer. And that was a unique situation because we knew the sellers, so the seller knew us, and so that transaction happened in a vacuum. No one had access to that deal, which is wonderful because we weren't in a bidding war, but that's not normal. It doesn't happen all the time. Don't be afraid of competition. People think like, man, like I need to go into like tertiary market, meaning third tier markets, because I can't compete with people. But the thing is like, there's a lot of competition at the bottom, but there's not a lot of competition at the top because people like to stay down here because they feel like they think the top is competitive, but that's not really the case. So always know like, hey, you can always go through the process, partner with the right people, and you're going to be able to access these deals. The next question is, so to the same point, when you first get started, like we buy A+ class apartments now, and we're building townhomes and we're doing single family home developments, but we didn't start out that way. Our 76 unit apartment, a multifamily apartment that was the $6.9 million purchase in Phoenix, that one that we bought in 2019, August 2019. So that property is like a solid C-class asset. And we didn't have a choice at that time. It wasn't like we have the credibility to go in and buy something that's bigger. So understand like it's a process, right? You're going to start out maybe not at the best ideal property, but you understand that the number makes sense and you're going to be able to make it work. That property sold in 27 months for a 3.11x multiple. So yes, C-class in today's environment is rougher and tougher to manage, but it's possible. You just have to come in understanding like what are some of the challenges that you have to face. When you elevate up to B and A, especially A-class property in the right neighborhoods, everything is so much easier because you don't have to worry about the issues of delinquency. You don't have to worry about issues of collections or evictions. The income portion is like very, very solid. So now that, even though now by A, we understand that people have to start somewhere. So don't be afraid to start with C and then make your way up, understanding that that's not the end goal. Okay, so the next question that I had come up a lot was like, do you work with a property management company? Yes, we work with third-party property management companies that are localized to the submarket. What is submarket? Submarket means within like a 3 to 5 mile radius of the property. As you guys know, across the country, like neighborhoods change really dramatically. Even a couple blocks down another side of the highway or the freeway, things can be really different. So work with local third-party property management company is the easiest way. When we scale up to larger multifamily apartments, we can afford to pay them. Typically, it's around 3% of gross income, monthly income. That's how much they charge. And then we also pay for the payroll for the property management staff. So it's like property manager, leasing manager, assistant, lead maintenance person, assistant maintenance, maybe a porter. So depending on the size of the property, there's going to be anywhere between 2 to about 6 people on staff. And these are your backbone. These are the people that are interfacing with your tenants every single day. So it's very important to have the right people on the team. Not only do they have the spirit to push your business plan forward, but also they have to have that kind of like that touch with the tenants. When you're dealing with C-class, you may have to deal more with income collections, rental collections. How do they tactfully address this with the tenants? When sometimes they have to do with not so pleasant tasks of evicting people, how do they do that, right? So those are some of the stuff that you want to make sure that your property management team is able to handle. And when we say submarket, we want to look for 2 things. We want to make sure that they already have properties in the area, because when you deal with different markets, the demand, the need, the clientele, what they're looking for in a property is totally different. And we want a team that actually understands that going into it. Also, what are they managing? Are they managing large multifamily, or are they managing small scale ones? If they're only managing a small scale multifamily and you're buying a 300 unit apartment, that would be a really bad mix match. Or if they're managing C-class assets and you're buying an A-plus class asset, that will also be a mismatch. So make sure that you match the property management team with the asset you're buying. And you may ask me, like, the question that comes up in conjunction to this is like, how do you find these property management company? I would say the best ones that we found was, number one is through referrals. So it's either through referrals from the broker that we're touring the property with. We may say, hey, we're new to the area. Who would be the property management company that you would recommend we talk to about this property? Or you may look at the property management team that exists on the site and decide like that they make sense. The other option is to ask mortgage brokers or even your friends who are general partners or active in apartments in that area. They can give you referrals as well. I felt like when we bought our $77 million apartment, it was sort of understood that, hey, this property management team is the preferred one that the buyer wants us to keep on site. And by interviewing them, we discovered that not only it made sense because we wanted to buy the deal, but also they were the best fit for this property. They understood it from day one. They dominate that submarket, and also they have an understanding of the clientele, which is very important. For instance, on that property, 2 weeks ago, we had like a pool palooza, and we're going to have another event in July. I forgot the name, but it's a high activation, high touch, making sure that the people who are at that property, which is an A-class property, feel like it's almost like a resort or like a 5-star hotel feel. So those are kind of the important characteristics. If you guys are liking that, give me some fire emojis. Let me know that if any of this is making sense to you guys. Okay. So the next question that I have is, how large is your team? Like when you're first getting started, like what do you have to do? Do you have to hire a whole bunch of people, or how does that work? When we first started, it was just my sister and I who were on the team. And but it wasn't just us. When we core team of us, right? Like our company was 2 of us who were doing this, but we had so many other partners who was helping us get into this journey. Like we talked about, like the other buckets of the general partners who are coming in. And give me a second. And if you guys want to join our masterclass live, DM us the word acquire. What is it? Acquire. Yes. So DM us acquire. This is like live and unscripted. So if you want to join our free live masterclass, DM us the word acquire and you'll get more information on that. Okay. back to the topic of team, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and hire way too many people. That's just overhead that's unnecessary. So at the start, don't worry, it could be you doing this on your own, but you're going to you're going to form partnerships with people who are going to be able to help you in this business. Some of the core people that we have on our team, loosely team, they're not in our entity, but they work with us, are teams like the legal team, property management, financial team that's doing like bookkeeping, construction team, the CPA, mortgage brokers, insurance brokers. These are some of the people that we work with all the time. So I am bridging the gap. That one, just DM us. Don't type it in the comment, but DM us in the in Instagram, and then we'll get that. The masterclass is free, so do time ask. So those are some of the people that you need to have on your team, and it's very easy to build that team up. It's not a complicated process, so it's pretty straightforward. The key is really to find the right fit. And again, it goes back to what I said at the beginning. Like if you're buying A-class properties, you need a A-class property management team. You need if you're doing financing that are like not bank financing, but like agency or something like that, you need the right mortgage broker who understands what you're doing. Construction, everything else similarly. Even CPA, you have to have the CPA who understands how to structure, how the apartment structure works, because basically like your H&R Block CPA will not cut it. You need people who actually understand tax strategies at a really high level, right? Okay, so another question is, should you build up your own finances before getting started? Meaning like, hey, I don't have a lot of money today, but like should I start accumulating a lot of wealth and circle back to multifamily in like 3 to 5 years? The simple answer is yes, multifamily, you require some money, but you don't require as much as you may think. Even though we're buying multi-million-dollar properties, not all of that money is our own. In fact, most of that money is not our own. Part of it comes from the bank, right? The lender. The lender is lending us anywhere between like 55 to 65% of the purchase price. And the balance, which encompasses the down payment and also some operational like CapEx reserve, like reserve funding, that comes from us raising money. In our deal, that the $77 million purchase that we did, we raised $38 million. That's just an example. So the rest of that funding, I think it was like 55+%, was about $40+ million was a loan from HUD, which is the Housing and Urbanization Development something, right? HUD. So you don't need all that money. You do need some money. It can't be like, hey, I don't have a single penny and I'm going to do multifamily. Then build up your wealth and start getting there, but you don't need a whole bunch. The next one is it wise to start small with duplexes, triplex, and build up to larger scale multifamily? My straight answer is no. Like if you want to do it the way we did it, to scale to hundreds of millions of dollars assets portfolio in multifamily in 5.5 years, the best way to do that is to not start small, because starting small just wastes your time. When you're stuck in the duplex and triplex mode, you're spending a lot of time and effort managing these assets yourself, these properties yourself, and you don't have the bandwidth to actually expand. When we did it, and to us today, like $6.9 million purchase is tiny. It's like super small for us now. But it wasn't small for us then, but we weren't afraid to go after something that made sense because it was more scalable for us. So don't waste your time. Like I said over the weekend, go big now, right? By doing small properties, it's unsustainable. You're just getting a new job. You're getting another job that doesn't make sense. For us, we consider multifamily a lifestyle business. So we're not going to let it like dominate our entire day. We have other stuff that we want to enjoy doing, and we rather have other people doing the work for us. That's why we tell you about the 5 levels of leverage. We're leveraging team, we're leveraging time, we're leveraging tools, we're leveraging taxes, and debt. So all those things are helping us grow faster, bigger. Okay, and if you have any questions, you can also drop it in the chat. The next question that I had a lot, and so I basically spent probably about 4 hours answering these questions, right? But I condensed them to the ones that I feel are pertinent to today. So let's see. Would you recommend starting new development if you are good at acquiring land? So this was a question that someone asked, and I started hearing people wanting to start building communities, 5 units, 10 units, 20, 30, 40 units, even 100 units communities. And my answer to that is like, new development when you're building from, like when I first started, these apartments were already built. We had tenants, people were living there already. It's a pretty easy transition, right? But when you do development, you're actually building it from ground up. You're taking dirt and you're converting it into buildings with people living in it. It's way more work and takes way more skills. So I would recommend that if that was what you want to do, you need to partner with people who have experience, and then you learn from them while making money. Do not try to develop on your own. You're going to get burned. What type of multifamily apartments do you buy? So today we buy A-class apartments, and also we build them ourselves. So right now we're building townhomes, 118 of them. And then after this, we're going to we're going to build single family homes, 115 of those. So, but we didn't get there overnight, right? We got there by buying a small, I understand small is relative, but $6.9 million. We did that one existing building. We sold it. We bought a whole bunch more. We bought like 9 different multifamily apartment properties. And that's how then we got to development. We didn't do development first. So I would recommend don't do it that way. It'll be more difficult for you. So what type of multifamily properties do we buy? Again, we buy A-class apartments and we build them. Okay, another question. How do people make money from multifamily apartments? So this is, I actually did some math over the weekend, but I will probably go over it in one of our master classes that's coming up. And again, guys, anyone who's joining now, don't worry that I speak really fast. If you join our free live masterclass that's happening next Thursday, I'll give you the answers that I've provided today. So it'll be very simple. You don't have to worry about taking notes. I speak really fast. So go to DM us acquire, so you'll get access to registering immediately. It's free, super fast. It's gonna be fun. Okay. So the next one is, can you explain what GPs and LPs are? Okay. So quick anatomy of multifamily. There's 2 sides to multifamily syndication. Syndication meaning the way that we put together the multifamily apartment deal. One side are active people who source the deal, who put it under contract, negotiate with the seller, find the money, make sure that they can raise the money, get loans, manage the property, and then eventually sell it. So that's active side. The passive side, those are people who just, hey, I have a business, I'm making a lot of profit, I want to convert my profit into a lasting legacy, or people who don't want to have to deal with the day-to-day operations of multifamily. They're passives. General partners are active. So same thing. General partners are people who are running the day-to-day show. Limited partners or passive investors are people who are putting money in and letting their money work for them. So there's a synonymous. Active general partners, passive LPs. Is it possible to do this while still having a job? So like I told you earlier, co-GP is probably the greatest side hustle ever known to human beings, because it allows you to leverage a whole bunch of people, the team and the time that they're building out this process while you just focus on one piece. Multifamily may be this depth, have this much depth, right? But you just focus on this much and you get really, really good at it, and you can join any team you want, right? And for us, that's raising the capital. Wow, there's so many questions that I have written down. Okay, so what do you mean by go big now, right? So that was my mantra over the weekend, go big now. Do not allow the dollar amount or the size of the property to constrain you. What I believe is that like our capacity as human beings are going to grow to the size of the space that we allow it to be in. So imagine that if your capacity was locked in a box that is this big, that's it. You're never going to be able to break free because that's the limitation. But once you let go of that limitation and you expand what's possible, then you're able to see, hey, I can do this. Part of the reason that we are on social or we do stuff on YouTube, on Instagram, is because we want to show regular people that you can change the cycle of your family's finances if you do this correctly. Multifamily is the only business I know that doesn't require you to have like a computer science background to build apps and software, but regular people like us to really grow your wealth in ways I don't know any other way humanly possible. And people come from so many different walks of life, and they're able to do this. And the reason I feel so confident is because we had that happen to us. We literally did this. So it was not theory. We actually started from zero when we were in the fashion world. For people who don't know, Nancy and I, my sister, we were in the fashion business. And we were doing really, really well. So well, in fact, that the buyer emailed us and said, your production, the things that you're manufacturing or creating are so amazing. It's selling out. You're doing such a great job. We're going to double your order. We were so excited. We're like, yes, this is it. We made it. Only to find out a week later that that same store, that same brand is shutting down all their stores. And so what I realized at the moment is like, it didn't matter how well we perform. It didn't matter that we were crushing it. It was based on their poor business plan that now we're screwed. And so we started from zero when we got into multifamily. We didn't know anything. We didn't have relatives who were already in multifamily. We didn't have friends who were like, hey, just come follow me. I'll grab you by the hand and I'll help you get through this. We started from zero. We knew no one in multifamily. And we built that connection. And that's why I feel, and my sister also feels, Nan feels, that anyone can do this. You just need to have the right team, be educated, and you're going to be able to do this yourself. And I've seen proof. It's not just us. It's thousands of other people, tens of thousands of other people who've done this. So the reason we say go big now is because the difference between buying a big deal and a small deal is getting educated and being on a good team. And if you're going to make 10x the amount being in a big deal, why would you waste your time doing small stuff? It just doesn't make sense. We're in the business of making money fast. We're not in the business of making money when we're 80 and don't have the ability to spend it, can't even walk, right? So go big now is important for us. What size properties are you currently acquiring? So right now, like the latest properties that we bought were 300 plus units. But we don't want to go higher than that because management of like really, really large multifamily apartments, like when you go up to like 400 to 500, it's a small city, becomes more complicated. So I think sweet spot is like less than 350, somewhere around there, units. And someone asked before, like, what is a unit? So in a multifamily apartment, even if there's 3 bedrooms in that unit, right? In that room, it's like the number. Let's say it's room 101. That room has 1 door. And that door is units, or you can call it doors. So it's like 300 units means there's 3 blocks. I don't know. So I'm trying to define it with the same word, but you guys get the idea. So 300 plus, landlord friendly states, strong economic drivers, strong rent growth, strong job growth, and also really important is like limited supplies of new apartments coming online. When anything in this, like economic 101 is supply and demand. You want to be in a space where there's high demand, but there's low supply. So there's criteria that we check off, but those are the main ones that we always look at before we acquire an apartment. Someone asked, where should I start off if I'm overrun by the process? So I heard that a lot because I totally get it, because even with what I'm saying, probably you guys are like, man, Palmy, you're just like spewing a lot of words and it's like really difficult to understand. So when we first started, that was our experience as well. But the cool part is, and I promise you, you may not feel this today, but like if you keep listening to us, keep listening to people who are expert, and the terminology after 3, 4, 5, 6 times of passively listening or actively listening, it will become ingrained in your head and you'll actually figure out what it means. The first time I heard cap rate, I was so confused. I didn't know what it was. And I was asking the speaker and I was like, what? I don't understand this math. This is so confusing. But like fast forward 5 times, okay, now I understand what it means. Because you've heard it from different angles. So do not feel overwhelmed. People expect instant success. And you don't give yourself that grace to learn the process. So understand, like today it may not make sense. Some of the words I'm saying does not make sense to you. But if you listen to enough and you give yourself enough time, it will make sense. It's like foreign language. If you are immersed in it, you get dropped off in Mexico and you have to survive living in Mexico, you're going to figure out some Spanish words, right? Similarly, if you want to get started in multifamily, start listening to things that people are talking about multifamily, and some of the words and the industry terms will start making sense to you later. If that makes sense, give me some fire, okay? So do you need all the money to buy these properties? So we do not buy any of these properties cash. We buy these properties levered. So what that means is we borrow money from lenders, private institutions, even REITs that lend out money for multifamily apartments. And we buy these partially. So we have basically 2 OPM, other people's money sources. The first one are the lenders, who's lending about 55 to 65% of the value of the purchase. And then the rest we raise through private individuals, people like you guys who love multifamily, who don't have 77 million, but have 100K or 50K, whatever that is, to invest in multifamily apartments and want to buy better stuff. And they don't want to manage, they don't want to be landlords. So this is a perfect opportunity for them. So you never have to have all the money. And that's the beauty of this. Like, if you look at anyone who's been able to scale really fast, it's because they didn't use their own money. If we're restricted to using only our own money, we'll never get anything done. Look at all the richest people in the world. Either they borrow or they had investors who came in and helped inject cash into their deals. I'm going to read. Thank you. Oh, hello, Asia. I know Asia with an H. Okay, so, okay, next question. Which states are landlord friendly and which aren't? Okay, that came up a lot because if you're stuck in the wrong state, it's going to be a problem when you're so these are investment properties, right? The goal here is find good tenants who appreciate living at your property, pay what they agreed to contractually, and then at the same time, make sure you treat them well, make sure you fix up things when there's a problem, if there's a leak or anything like that, take care of them. But at the same time, it's like if they don't pay rent, you need to be able to evict them. It's just facts, right? And if there's people who need help, you work with them, but you not allow people to game the system. In states like California that we live in, it becomes a problem because eviction takes forever. And that's why we don't invest in California at all. We invest in states that are landlord friendly. And essentially what that means is like there's laws that protect also not only the tenants, but there are also laws that protect the investors' rights or the landlord's rights. And if you want to know what those are, we will give you a list. We'll give you a list of those during our masterclass that's happening next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And all you have to do is DM us the word acquire, ACQUIRE, into the Instagram, and you'll get access to that. And then, okay. And the clue there is like they're not blue states. Politically, whatever your alignment is, that's totally fine. Just know that red states tend to be more business and landlord friendly. So you can live where you want. I live in a very blue state, but I invest in red states. So which cities should you focus on, or you guys, as you're getting started? I think proximity is really important. When we first started, the reason Phoenix was so attractive, it was close by. Now, I'm going to be honest, like we only went to that property twice. The first time was like sometime after closing, after we bought the property. And then we went back again only because we took a trip to Sedona, and on the way back, we were like, oh, let's go check it out. But otherwise, we've only been there twice. But because we had boots on the ground, so we didn't have to actually do that on our own. But if you guys are getting started and you want to learn the submarket, something that we're going to, again, teach on next Thursday's masterclass, you need to drive there. You need to be able to travel there. You need to be able to take really clear and cogent notes about like, what is the area like? What are some of the businesses that are surrounding the area? Who are the tenants? What are some of the characteristics of the properties nearby? All those things can happen if you're close to it, right? Like people can actually drive to Phoenix from Los Angeles. I think it's 8 hours drive through the desert, so it's really hot, and which we did when we drove through Sedona, but it's completely doable. If you are getting started and I told you, hey, go to Atlanta. Atlanta was like a 4-hour flight away, and it cost quite a bit of money, right, to fly, and it would take you more than one day just because of the flight time. It may not be, after a while, you may not only be burnt out, but you may have lost a lot of money because you're just spending time flying all over the place. It doesn't make sense. So pick cities that are close to you. People who are in California, you may want to pick things like Phoenix, Tucson, Tahoe, Vegas, maybe even something in New Mexico or Colorado, somewhere that's like reasonably close. Idaho, I don't know, anywhere that's not in California but close by. Hey Priscilla, how are you? Hope you're doing well. So basically, like pick locations that make sense geographically that you can travel to, and if you have to, you can go there. We're lucky that we work for ourselves. We don't have a W-2 job, and so therefore, if we had to, we can fly there, and that's one of the things we told people all the time. So that was the question for cities. So, and also with the city, don't burn yourself out by doing like a whole bunch of cities. Pick like a couple of cities that you feel like, I love it. Tucson, I want to do Tucson. I want to do Tempe, Arizona. I want something like that, and be really, really, really niche about it. Like know it inside and out. When we invested in Arlington, Texas, so I piggyback off someone, my really, really good friend. He pretty much walked. He owns like 10,000 units in Dallas and Houston, and he told me, Pommy, buy in Arlington. You're not going to go wrong, right? And I was like, okay, what street? So I asked him, like, I got a shortcut, I got a cheat sheet, I got a code. So I was like, what part of Arlington should I buy? And then when we were looking at the property, I text him the address and said, like, hey, are we good with this one? So that was because I have a cheat code. But if you guys don't have a cheat code, make sure that you actually drive the market, drive your competitors, go tour properties nearby, take notes of what it looks like, how it looks and feel, your demographic, because brokers are going to over exaggerate things when they sell, which is surprise, surprise, right? They will do that. So make sure that you know that market so no one can pull a fast one. Because when someone wants to sell something, they're going to make sure that it sounds wonderful and amazing, but is it really? And you can tell if you have experience there. Okay, so, and again, three location max. Don't do more than that. You're gonna be so tired. It's already a lot. If you pick pretty decent sized markets, that's a lot to focus on. Um, and then how do you find money to buy the deals? So initially, when we were raising capital for these deals, so again, we have financing from the lender, but then the other component is we're raising money. At the very beginning, it was a very manual process. We would go to meetups and connect with people who love multifamily, shake their hand, talk to them, get their information, exchange our information for theirs. And once we had the deal, prior to that we connected with them, we talked to them on the phone a couple of times, and then after that, then we reach out to them and say, hey, I have a deal. Would you like to invest in it? That was pretty much how it was. Now, the raise for that one was $3+ million, so it was possible to do things that way. But when you're talking about 30, almost $40 million, really can't do it that way anymore. It's not scalable. So as a starting point, go to the meetup, go to real estate conferences, go to multifamily apartment conferences, and do the networking thing. It's not going to go wrong. Sometimes we think like multifamily, we can hide behind a computer or a spreadsheet and don't talk to humans. But unfortunately, this is a people's business. People know, like, and trust people they invest with. So you have to go out there and make yourself known to people. Start with the one-on-one because it's the easiest path. You can do that right now. It doesn't cost very much. Some meetups are free. Some meetup may cost maybe $10, $15, $20. That's the cost for them just running it. Virtual or live. If given the choice, I would go to live events because I think virtual, there's some like, it's not as focused. People who do virtual, they may be distracted doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And also I think it's important to meet people face to face. It's easier to build that connection. Sometimes like text doesn't give a sense of character or you can sense the passion in that person. So try to go to live events if possible. I know some people live in areas that may not have them. Then you resort to like national events or events virtually. Okay, and guys, if you have any questions, you can feel free to drop it in the comments as well. The next one is, how do you overcome the how do you overcome the mindset that's like limiting how big you can scale because of the size and the money involved? The key answer to this is really simple. It's like, if you're educated and you have the right partners in place, you're going to feel really confident. It doesn't matter because it's like when I go skydiving, right? I've done skydiving a couple of times, but like when you go skydiving, it's tandem jump. I don't jump on my own. I trust a person that actually is behind me, who knows how to do everything, who knows when to pull the chute, who knows what happens if the first one doesn't work. All that nice, cool, fuzzy feeling, warm feeling, like you feel safe and you're going to be okay. So when you do large scale multifamily, the first thing is you need to understand the asset class. You need to understand that specific property, the market. What are the reasons, the business plan? What are the things that are going to cause this property to perform really well? Because keep in mind that you're raising money from people who are relying on you to grow their nest egg. This may be part of their retirement plan. So never take their trust in you lightly. So that's the first thing, be educated. The second one is if you find the right partners, you're going to be able to feel comfortable knowing that, hey, we're going to do this together. And as far as like overcoming just the idea of the large scale, like millions of dollars, the simplest way I can say this is like, just think them as zeros. how much harder are you working when you're buying a I don't know if 10,000 exists, so like $100,000 duplex or something, versus me buying a almost $100 million property. I'm really certain that I do less work than you and my property is easier to manage than yours. So don't let the zeros intimidate you. They're just zeros, right? Just think of it that way. It'll be easier. And it's similar to like the jargon of multifamily. After a while, it becomes very common. And that's why you'll start hearing people talk about 60, 70, $80 million deals like it's nothing, because it's not a big deal. Okay. Someone asked, like, how am I able to speak about this topic with so much certainty and clarity? Well, that's because I'm obsessed about this topic. For the past 5.5 years, this is all I talk about. Like, doing work hours, doing off work hours, doing any hour. This is all I think and focus all my attention on. But also more important than that is like, I've done it. I've seen it. So it's not like I read it in a book or I took some course and then like I see someone else's success. But I've actually gone through this cycle and I've actually seen, like, everything that I'm telling you is stuff that I actually experienced myself. And so when I speak, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking from reading a book about this topic. And that's why I can speak with certain certainty and clarity on it. But you will also have that. And it won't take you that long. It took me 5.5 years. Part of this was because of COVID. So it slowed me down. And even high interest rate today has slowed us down. If without those two things, our asset under management will probably be close to $1 billion today. But it's not, right? It's about half of that, which is okay, which is great. But we would have gone much faster had we been able to do it that way. So just know it comes with time, and then just think about it, talk to people about it all the time, obsess about it. That's going to happen. Okay, so I have 3 more questions. Again, I spoke really fast, guys. So if you want a copy of all the answers I provided, join the free masterclass happening on Thursday. I think it's like the 27th or something like that. Just, you guys can check. I can check for you. So next Thursday is the 27th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. If you're on Instagram, just DM us the word acquire, ACQURIE, and you'll get access to that. Okay, so last 3 questions, okay? If you guys have questions, you feel free to drop it in the box. If not, I will hop off after these 3 questions. Okay. How did you get started in multifamily apartments, and what challenges did you face? So the biggest challenge we faced so I think if you heard me at the beginning, basically we lost our fashion business and then we jumped into multifamily first as passive investors. That's how we discovered multifamily. We invested in a couple of deals because we're like, wow, this totally, at that time we were flipping houses and we thought this is totally makes sense. Like, we make money from flipping and we have to pay a lot of taxes, but this offsets the tax and it's growing our wealth without having to actually do work. So it was essentially taking the business profit to grow our legacy. The cool thing about multifamily that I love a lot is like it's short-term, mid-term, and long-term financing. So short-term is like you make acquisition fee, you make cash flow, right? You make that acquisition fee you make day one when you buy the property. Asset management fee, cash flow, you make it during the course of managing the property. So that's like mid-tier. And then long-term is you get like a chunk money at the end, like very large chunk of money, and we'll go over exactly what that means on Thursday. So if you want to know how large is that chunk of money, how large is that best side hustle ever, go join us on the masterclass and I'll share that deets with you guys. So that's a tease, open loop for next week. But basically, once we realize like, hey, this is something that I've never done anything that has made us this much amount of money before. We've made really good money in fashion, but it took a lot of effort and there was a lot more uncertainty. But multifamily, the math, I always say multifamily is not an easy business, but it's a simple business. It's a simple business of reducing your expenses and increasing your income. How you go about doing that, that's a skill, right? But it's a simple business. It's not complicated. It's not like I have to build a Facebook app and then connect all these things I don't even know how to do. And so therefore, that was what we did. The challenge that we faced when we were brand new was what value will we add to the team? Again, when I talked about like, okay, that 5 buckets that general partners fit in, we weren't confident that we can fit in any of it because we've never raised money. We don't live in the market, so we definitely don't know how to source a deal. We don't know any brokers, so we definitely don't have relationships with them. We don't know how to asset manage because we've never owned this. and we didn't have the balance sheet. So that was the hard part, that we were like, how do we overcome this? But the great thing about this is, like I told you from the beginning, like what we got, the message was really clear. And if you go to most multifamily conferences, I promise you, what I'm telling you is the bottleneck for most deal will continue to be there. It's raising money. And so once we realized that, hey, raising money was the key answer, yes, do we need to know on a high level the other aspects? Do we have to understand the underwriting, the assumptions of the property? Of course, because we're raising money from people and we need to make sure that they understand that we know what we're talking about. But we didn't have to know everything about it. And that's the cool part, is that once we focus on this small area, the things that were unsurmountable challenges became things that we can overcome. Okay, 2 more questions. How do you find partners in this business? So when I say go big now, that's important, but go big now is after you find that partner. Do not go find any person and then partner with. This is probably more than a marriage. It's a lot of money involved, a lot of ego, a lot of things that can go wrong. What I can tell you is that, like, people say nice and flowery things until, like, you just have to let their actions speak for themselves. Because, like, when things are going well, it's really easy for people to get along and compromise. But when things are tough, are challenging, and multifamily, like anything in life, there's gonna be stuff that are not predictable, right? We go with a business plan and we come out the other end having fixed things along the way, because that business plan will never go as we have planned. I'm going to butcher this, but basically Mike Tyson said, like, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the chin or something like that. So it's like, we will have to adjust, we will have to pivot. And if you have the right partners, not only are they going to have the knowledge base to help come up with ideas of how to pivot, but also you're going to know that, like, they have your back. And even if you don't agree all the time on everything, but you're going to support each other based on, like, common, like, majority interest. Like, if someone say, do it this way, and I don't agree with it, if the majority of my partners believe that's the correct course, I'm going to support them 100%. And you need partners like that. So how you find partners, in my opinion, is like, number one is, if you're new, you're going to want people who are more experienced than you. So you're not going to go into markets where you're the top dog. You know everything about this business, right? Go to the same meetups, go to same national conferences, maybe even once in a while, go to conferences in that market that you want to go after. And that's why I said, proximity is important. If you want to go and tap into the Vegas market, you need to be able to drive a car or fly there, or Phoenix or anywhere else. So it's cheaper if you can drive or fly close rather than fly to, like, Raleigh or somewhere far away. So network, vet the partners. In the series of the free master classes that we're going to offer, one of them will be specifically about partnerships. And so stay tuned for that, and we'll go into more depth on that. The first one that we're doing, again, is next Thursday, June 27th. And that's basically about acquiring the property, that first phase. Like, how do we do that? I actually never mentioned the title, so I'm just going to give you the title. It's called How to Find and Acquire Multifamily Properties Without Being an Expert. So that's actually the title of the masterclass. So that's step one. So we have a series that we're going to present to you guys, because we worked out, like, hey, based on the questions that people ask, let's create a curriculum that's free that they can have access to, so that they can for themselves understand this process better. And I think it's easier. It's obviously, I can come and answer FAQ, but there's probably, like, a more in-depth information that I can't provide all at once. So it's important to join that kind of class. So again, free masterclass, 27th, Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Type in the word acquire into the Instagram chat box, and you'll get access to that. Okay. Last question. And if no questions asked in the Instagram, I will hop off after this one. Okay. So, what would you do differently if you started today? So key with the keys, type the DM type the word acquire in DM, and you'll get access to it, not in this comment. Thank you. So it's cliche, but I would buy more, and I would buy more often. And I would have bought land. I would have bought more land back in a couple years ago. Multifamily is like, land is one of the resources that it's not growing, right? We're not growing more land. So the right land and the right location is going to be gold. Right now, multifamily apartments or real estate in general, it's on a discount. but it's on a discount not based on fundamental of the asset class. It's based on high interest rates. High interest rates mean that people can't afford to pay as much as they should for a property. So it actually artificially compressed the price. But as you know, this is my thinking at least, once the election's over, interest rates will start dropping. Right now, key metrics are showing that a lot of the inflation that's happening is based on government spending. And this may be something that, well, this may be part of like a populist policy during an election year, who knows? But we believe that it will start dropping, right? So I would have bought land, I would have bought more property, and like the markets that we're in today, I think I love them. I think they're amazing. I just want to buy more, and I know like in a couple years, like when we look back on this, it's gonna be a time where we realize, wow, this was the watershed moment. People who started today, and I know some people on the call right now are about to start that journey themselves as general partners. When you look back a couple years from now, you're going to be in a position where we are today, and you're going to be glad that you got started. So if you're on the sideline with multifamily or real estate or investing, just know that if you do this correctly, it's going to change your whole life trajectory. Your finances will never be the same. That's been my experience. And so I would recommend that anyone who is dipping their toe, don't dip, right? Go in. Don't be afraid to not know everything. You're going to learn some of this stuff as you go. And the cool part is you're not doing this alone. There's people who are going to be there to support you the whole time. If you have the right mentors, they're going to guide you. If there's questions, they're probably going through the same stuff that you're going through, or they've gone through it before. So they can help adjust and guide you. So seek out the right mentorship. Those are important factors. Well, it's about almost an hour. So if there's no questions, I will hop off, and I thank you guys for your time. Again, anyone who didn't catch all the questions or want a copy to my answers, since I speak really, really fast, join our free masterclass. Topic name is How to Find and Acquire Multifamily Properties Without Being an Expert, on June 27th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and then you'll be able to get access. Oh, there's a question or something. Sorry. One question from Monopoly Bros. How have you found private lenders or investors to put in money into your deals with all our deals? Okay, so the first one is the first answer is, like I said at the beginning, is like we network with people who love real estate. This is a really important point. Don't try to raise money from people who don't have any interest in real estate. If you're trying to raise money, people who believe in the stock market, believe in the bond market, precious metals, or cryptos, you're going to be speaking to like a wall. It'll take forever, and no one will actually invest with you, and it'll be really a frustrating process. I've heard so many people tell me, I know rich friends, and they'll end up raising nothing. The reason is like rich friends does not automatically translate to rich friend who wants to invest in your deal in multifamily. So go to places where they're already congregating. If there are people who are at meetups or multifamily events that I mentioned and other stuff like that, network with them as much as possible, because that's the place where you're going to be able to access people with money. We buy large deals, so we can't do like private lending per se. It's way too much money for that, but that's how we do it. And we're going to get into more detail on that on our one of our free master classes that's coming up in our series. But the first one that we're doing is how to find and acquire multifamily properties without being an expert. So thank you guys for joining. I appreciate all of you guys, and I'll see you guys next time. And if you have any other questions in the meantime, feel free to DM us, and we'll put together another series of questions that we'll answer in future lives. Thank you so much. I don't know how to turn this off.